The sugar diet. It sounds like an oxymoron. How can a diet based on sugar be healthy or beneficial to you on any level? And the answer is structure and education. Once we realize what sugar actually does inside of your body and develop a structured plan, you can actually use sugar to lose weight, to build muscle, to basically meet any of your health needs. But you've got to be educated and we've got to understand what sugar actually does. Remember, you can't build a house without a blueprint, and you can't go into any kind of a diet without a specific plan that's going to address your needs and without you understanding what each macronutrient does when it's inside of your body. Now, Mark Bell, a famous influencer guy, he's gotten a lot of attention on social media because he's not afraid to experiment with his diet. And he's the one that exposed me originally to the sugar diet. Now, I'm not currently following the sugar diet, but I do ingest a whole lot more sugar than people realize because I understand that sugar can be a performance nutrient. Now, in the bodybuilding fitness community, a lot of people like me will use sugar before our workout as a fuel source, sometimes even during our workout by drinking like a Gatorade or a drink with a high molecular carbohydrate mixed in. And of course, we take carbs after we work out to replenish the energy and the muscle glycogen that we used in the actual workout. But the sugar diet places a supreme importance on sugar. But the principles of nutrition remain the same. Calories are going to control your body weight no matter where they come from. You've got to understand how many calories your body needs so that when you develop a diet, sugar diet or any kind of a diet, you understand that no matter what this diet is, if your caloric intake becomes more than what you need, you're going to gain weight. And most of the time, that weight is going to be from fat. Macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fat are what makes up your calories. They're the three ways that calories are broken down into. This is important because we've got a term called nutrient partitioning. What this means is when you eat a well balanced meal of protein, carbs, and fat, the jobs of the protein, carbs, and fat get easier because the other macronutrients work together symbiotically to help your body utilize your food best. And nutrient partitioning is particularly important in the sugar diet for helping you to control your blood glucose levels. Making sugar work is fairly simple and timing is everything. Like we just talked about pre-workout, post-workout, or other high energy periods, not necessarily late at night and not mindlessly sitting around and snacking, having a Netflix binge and opening up a pack of Sour Patch Kids and killing it without even realizing it. This isn't part of the sugar diet. We have to pair our sugar with protein. A candy bar alone is going to spike your blood sugar levels and you're going to have a crash. If you combine the sugar with protein, your muscle recovery and your energy will stabilize all throughout your day. Another thing that sugar needs is hydration. You've got to drink your water. If you're not drinking your water properly, the body will be unable to optimize the glucose, the sugar that's in your bloodstream. Another thing is you've got to track this stuff. You've got to know how much you're eating. How many grams of sugar are you taking in? How many grams of carbohydrates are you taking in? And remember, a carbohydrate is sugar. Now, when you eat a piece of bread or a sweet potato or something that's more considered a whole food, it's going to digest. And once it digests, it breaks down into sugar. When you drink a drink that's got sugar in it, no digestion is necessary for the sugar to be utilized in your bloodstream. That's why we talk about having a sugar high and also a crash if you don't have an actual protein or a fat source or a longer digesting carbohydrate. The sugar will be burned up really quickly, and that's when your body will experience a sugar crash. So again, don't just mindlessly eat this sugar. Don't ignore your protein. We've got to keep our water intake high. I would recommend at least half a gallon a day on top of drinking other stuff, maybe like a milk or a Gatorade or something like that. That would be absolute bare minimum. And remember, you've got to hold yourself accountable. You've got to have a way to track your macronutrients and your sugar. I use the free version of Chat GPT, the free version, and it's amazing. I literally tell it what I ate and it keeps track. It'll also print you out or it'll save it in a file if you ask it to, and you can look back and sort of track your progress and see how well you're doing and if this sugar intake is actually beneficial for you. And again, track your macronutrients, but also track your body weight too. It's very, very, very important. Sugar is not evil. We've got to understand that it is a tool like weights or kettlebells. Sometimes carbohydrates in general get such a bad rap, and we think, oh my gosh, they're just evil. We hear about carnivore and keto, and now for someone to come along and suggest that an actual diet, a performance-based diet nonetheless, can be based on sugar can blow your mind, but it's not evil. Sugar isn't necessarily bad, it's just a tool. And we've got to understand how to utilize these tools not only for our fitness, but for our overall health, our life. Remember, discipline's going to come first and sugar's going to come second. If you're not already disciplined and understanding how sugar functions in your body, then following a diet based on sugar is probably going to leave you with poor results and a lot more questions than answers once you finally decide that you need to do something different. You've got to control your body, your habits, your energy. You can't let candy control you. You've got to understand that it's very important, and we're going to go over the timing of the sugar again, because all throughout the day, you'll want energy. You'll need blood in you'll need sugar in your blood, the glucose available to your body inside of the muscle for energy. Now at nighttime, that's a lot of the times where people like Mark Bell will switch over and start eating a very lean source of protein, real lean hamburger, maybe a really lean piece of steak, and they're going super, super low fat because the body has two energy sources, and that's from your carbohydrates and that's from your fat. When we're eating sugar, we're obviously choosing sugar as the fuel source, the carbohydrate. When we limit our fat, that forces our body to only use the sugar that we're taking in. If we introduce fat in the form of saturated fat from protein or maybe like a trans fat from ice cream, our body will be able to use the fat and the sugar as energy, and it's kind of splitting yourself in half. We want with the sugar diet the body to fully utilize the sugar that we're giving it, and if we introduce fats as an energy source, it will compromise the effectiveness of your diet. So again, that's why most people, and you've seen them, maybe you haven't seen them, but I mean, we've literally got these fitness influencers that for breakfast are opening it up like a bag of Skittles or Sour Patch Kids, dumping it into a bowl and calling it meal prep. And as weird and as crazy as it sounds, it can be effective if you're going to use sugar and the carbohydrate alone as an energy source. Remember, protein builds muscle. Our fat that we intake can be used as an energy source, but it's also crucial for hormone development. And then carbohydrates are basically the preferred fuel source of both the brain and the body. I am not telling you to follow the sugar diet. I'm just telling you the basics so that you can understand it. So whenever you get on YouTube or social media and you think people are just tripping, you can actually have a knowledge base and understand how this person may or may not be best utilizing food in their lifestyle. If you experiment, treat this like a metabolic test. Keep your awareness high, your discipline high, and your accountability high. If you live a regular life, balanced meals, protein, stable carbs, healthy fats, you're going to remove the risk. So the sugar diet really is a little bit of a risque thing, especially right now. It's very new. Some would call it innovative, and other people have pointed back and said our ancestors used to snack on fruit all day until they could find an animal to kill and eat, and that may or may not be true, but it goes beyond the scope of the video here. So food is not a weapon, but ignorance can weaponize your food. Listen, guys, please know what you eat, know why you eat it, and most importantly, know what your body does with it.